Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a Sunday sermon. I hope all of you were watching the celebration yesterday. We're going to kind of do the ultimate cap to the celebration. We're going to channel a message from the first president of the United States, General George Washington. He was an incredibly spiritual individual, and throughout the terrible time of the Revolutionary War, he never wavered in his faith. So I thought that it would be a wonderful way to end the 250th celebration and to speak to an individual who probably had his faith tested as much as anyone could have possibly had. So anyway, President Washington, I've enjoyed speaking with you this morning, and I'm ready for your message. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I can assure you this. The Revolutionary War, that whole period, it was a terrible, terrible trial for all of us. I always had an incredibly strong faith in God. I knew that God existed. I knew that he would lead me. And I knew that if I prayed to him, I would receive answers. And during that terrible period where the country wanted to become free from Great Britain, I prayed to him often. I asked him for guidance, and things would come to me. Situations would change. The mere fact that we were able to defeat the greatest military in the world, the strongest, the greatest navy, that our little country, those 13 original colonies, the few soldiers that we had to work with, essentially no navy, that we could defeat the most powerful country in the world could only have been accomplished with the help of God. God can truly help all of you in your lives. And those of you that listen to the messages that Barry brings you, I know that you follow the words of God, and I know that you listen to them and you try to live by what he asks you to do. I tried to do the best I could in my life. If you hear God's messages, he will tell you all the time, do your best. Try to follow my words, use common sense. I tried to do all of those things in my life. I was blessed with a good education. I was a surveyor. I could do many things, and I chose to join the military. As I look at what's taking place today, I am utterly astonished at how the country that we founded from so few individuals, that country could survive to the point and to the power that it has today. Today, the United States is the leader of the world. In my time, we were simply fighting to exist. We were trying to get other the countries to accept us, to accept the fact that we wanted to live free, that we wanted to have freedom of choice, freedom of religion, freedom of speech. In those days, the British was being ruled by a king. What he said was the rules. He decided that no one was going to leave, that England was going to control the colonies, that England was going to tell them how they were going to live, how to make the decisions. They were going to tell them all aspects of the life, and especially they were going to tax them without any representation. And they did. They made life very, very difficult for the colonists, for all of us. But they never really thought that a few people determined to have freedom, to live free or die, would be able to defeat them. They entered the war thinking it was going to be a couple weeks and it would be over. But those of us that lived in the colonies, we knew what was coming. We knew that they would spare no force to stop us. We knew that what we did would be a death warrant. When the Declaration of Independence was signed, all of those individuals knew what was at stake. It was so close. It was a tie. An individual that was dying of cancer broke the tie for this so that the Declaration of Independence could be signed and carried forth as a simple majority of one. Think about how close that was. Think about it if the vote had failed. What would have taken place? We may still be a British colony. But there were individuals that knew that freedom and choice, the right to live under God the way they wanted to live, was more important than anything else in their lives. Many of the people that signed that declaration, the British burned their homes. They killed their family members. They did many things. The British were not kind people in those days. Today they're a valued asset. They fight with us. We fought with them. We saved them in World War II. So things change radically through the years. As I look today, and I watch very closely what is taking place on this planet, as I watch from heaven, I realize just how much has changed. I realize that old enemies are now individuals that fight together. I realize that old allies have become many of your enemies. There are people today that are waging war in the name of God. You see that in Iran. They abuse their people. They've killed tens of thousands of them because they disagree. They are so far from what God wants that they will be in for a huge shock when they return. But they are making it so miserable on the people. Those people want to be free. They had experienced religious freedoms, the abilities to advance, to live a good life. But the government has taken it all away. Now, I would caution you as well. Any government that exists can take away your freedoms. You're seeing certain freedoms being eroded in this beautiful country. Yes, you have what you call freedom of religion, but it's taken out of the schools. Many of the universities are telling the young that God does not exist. This country would not exist without God. That is such a primary concept. Without God, nothing exists. God is the creator. God has created all of the things around you. The babies, when you look at a newborn baby, that is a miracle of God. God has created everything that you perceive. Now, many intelligent people think they can prove God does not exist, but none of them can answer how everything around them is taking place the way it is. They'll never come up with the right answer because they don't accept God. The greatest thing that you can do in your life is to accept God, to build the foundation of faith of which he speaks, to use the common sense to release the energy that he has in each and every heart of a human, to go forth and to do the simple things that he asks of you. The simplicity of his words. Do not do anything that you do not want done to yourself. Follow the common sense that God gives you, and all will be well. Today, great countries are not following that common sense. Russia's decided that they want more land, that they enjoy waging war. They enjoy having their people killed because of the stupid ideas that a dictator has. That dictator will die, and he will come back, and he will understand truly the folly of what he did. If you thirst for power, then you are going to remain very thirsty when you return to heaven. I never really wanted power, but I knew that I had to accept it. I had the gift of leadership that God gave me. Barry can speak my words. That's a gift that God has given him. And God gave me the gift of leadership. I could have men follow me. I had common sense. I had the ability to pray to God. I had the ability to listen to what God told me. I often knew that things were in terrible condition, but I would ask him for guidance and I would get ideas. All of you can ask for guidance of God. That's what he's there for. God will help each and every individual that asks. The key is prayer. I prayed to him continuously. I prayed to him more than anybody ever realized because I knew in my position of power, and I had power, people listened to me and followed me. I had many people that were dying for me. The weather, the conditions, everything was against us. We didn't have the weapons we needed. We didn't have the gunpowder, the ball, the shot, all of the things that we needed to wage wars, we had to come up with. You have all the abilities to get all of the things that you need to wage the war of faith, to wage the war where people believe in God, where people understand the true concept that all men are created equal, the true concept that this great equality is what exists in heaven. Do you think the concept of our Constitution came from nowhere? God led the writers, Jefferson, Adams, all of the great minds of the time. God sent them all back so that they could perform and create this wonderful country, this country that you refer to now as the United States, the one that has grown from 13 individual colonies, 13 colonies ruled by Great Britain, 13 colonies, many of which had nothing in common, many which actually resented each other. The North resented the Southern colonies because of the slavery. Yes, I had slaves. That was a terrible thing. But you have to look at it historically. I tried to treat my slaves as best I could. I gave them what they needed. I tried to care for them as best I could. But we did not have a labor supply in those days, such as you have today. It was a tradition, a terrible tradition. We should have never done it. Slavery should have never been introduced in this country, but it was. And it remained a huge problem even until the time of the Civil War. It took the death of hundreds of thousands of young men to resolve that issue. Even though in my heart I knew it was wrong, I still relied upon it. I was judged harshly for it when I returned, but I helped lead a country to freedom. I only listened to my God. He was never telling me to have slaves. Don't misunderstand that statement. But I listened to him when he would give me advice. I knew in my heart that I was receiving the messages that I knew that were required to lead. Many people think they're leaders, but if they don't believe in God, they are false leaders. It is only through prayer and asking for guidance. It is only through understanding your weaknesses. All humans have almost infinite weaknesses. You must ask God for guidance. I did. And because of the guidance that he gave me, we created the greatest country that ever existed. Rome was great. It was a huge country, but it always abused the people. It was a very brutal country. The United States, it has many problems. There is no way that you can overlook the problems that the country has. But it is still the country that makes the world run. It is the beacon of hope for many, many people in the world. Why do you think so many people want to immigrate to the United States? It's because it is this beacon. People are not afraid to love others in this country. People are not afraid to help others. There are many people that only want power in your government. They only want wealth. They will be judged for this when they return. That is their problem. God has never said, go out and make as much money and hoard it to yourself. If you have great wealth and do not use it to help others, then you are going against the true wishes of God. I knew what I was facing. For almost 8 years, we waged war. We fought. We suffered. I did not see my wife for years on end. I did not return to my home because my men needed me. Valley Forge was incredibly terrible. That was the moment of great choice for many. I watched many of my men freeze to death. Can you imagine that? what it must have done. It ripped at my heart. But I knew that we had to do the best that we could. And if we did not survive, the country would not survive. I knew we would lose the war if we did not suffer through that terrible winter. That winter was an ultimate test. Each of you face an ultimate test every day when you get up in the morning. You must decide how you're going to serve God. I served God by serving the new country that we were trying to give birth to. I fought alongside my men. I tried to do the best I could. I tried to act as an inspiration. In that terrible winter at Valley Forge, I would go among them. Many of them became so weak they just simply had to give up and go home. I couldn't feed them. Many of them starved. Many of them were sick. It was an absolute terrible time. But each and every one of those men that survived, they should be remembered for who they were. Their souls are still in heaven, and they return, and they come back and they still serve. Many of the souls that served with me at Valley Forge have come back, and they fought in your world wars. These great souls, many of them that are in heaven, many of them are actually back. They are still great patriots because the life that they lived in that life, that prior life where we fought, where we loved together, that had a distinct impression on all of those souls. And many of them have decided to return to serve. Each of you that are listening to this are serving God. Each of you know what God wants of you. Each of you know that he wants you to show love. That is the basic foundation that goes with faith and love. If you have those two characteristics, you have the leadership that you need to move forward and to serve others. Those of you that take time to listen, you are chosen. You have been sent back to do this. You are doing your best. In life, I did my best. I did all that my country asked of me. I did not want to be president. I did not want to lead the armies because I knew the great challenge I would be facing. The challenges were actually worse than I anticipated. For you, life can be worse than what you are anticipating. There are continuous challenges for you as well. The government is allowing inflationary costs to harm each and every one of you. A tank of gas for your automobiles. And yes, we did not have automobiles. We had horses. In our day, it would have been the price of hay. But for you, everything has changed from what we had. The luxury levels that you have today, we could not ever conceive of. What is taking place in your world, we could never conceive of. But we knew that human freedom, that was the key. That has not changed. Human freedoms, the right to live your life as you choose, you must live free or die. That has not changed. You must, when the time comes that you must fight for your country, you must fight for it. Every time there is an election, you are fighting for your country. You must vote for people that have chosen God. You must vote for people that honestly understand that they must serve the people. So many of your politicians only serve themselves today. You must choose wisely. You must get leadership, but especially you must teach the young. We had many young individuals fight with us, many whose names have never been recorded for history. Many very young men fought and died, and no one ever remembers their name. If you help others, your name will be remembered. If you have wealth and can share it, your name will be remembered. If you have great wealth and do not share it, your name will truly be remembered as well, but only for a few days, and it will not be remembered kindly. So go forth, show the leadership that I tried to reflect in my life. You do not have to lead thousands. You can simply help a single person, and you will be fulfilling what God wants of you. Build the foundation of faith. Tell the young about faith and how important it is. Explain to them just how difficult the founding of this country was. Do you realize that almost 50% of the people do not understand the true importance of the day that you just celebrated? The schools are taking history away from those that need to understand the past. Tell them about the sacrifices. Tell them about what we went through to make sure that you can have the life that you are currently living. But most of all, just simply build the foundation of faith. Follow the words that God speaks to you, and all will be well, and the United States will thrive far into the future. All you have to do is follow God. So thank you so much for allowing me to come forward today. It's been a long time since I've been able to speak to you, to people. So love God. Know that He blesses each and every one of you, and that He hears every word of prayer. He heard every word of my prayer, and it resulted in the country in which you're living. Goodbye, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for loving your country. Wow, that's some energy. I guess that's what it took. Very few people really understand the history of the Revolutionary War. I've always been a history nut, so I know a little more than a lot do, but that man lived it. What he went through was unbelievable. Many people today are having situations that are unbelievable as well. So all we can do is our best. Try to help others, show the love that God wants of you, and you'll be doing your best, and that's all we can expect. Goodbye. Thank you so much for listening. Please tell others. This was a good show. Tell folks about it. They should hear this. If you think you understand the Revolutionary War, listening to what that man just said, it will increase your understanding. Goodbye, and may God bless all of you.